Hello, fourth graders. All right, today is Monday. It is the 25th. In math today, we started off with solving multi-step word problems with strip diagrams to help us organize our information and the problem. So we were over in Seesaw, and in Seesaw, we used this first page to help us. We're going to use it all throughout the week. And this first page is just to help you keep track. I want you doing 10 minutes of eSpark a day, 10 minutes of Prodigy. So once you finish that, you can just click one of the green check marks and put it over there. Then today, these were the two problems that we solved together. So the first one says that over a course of 20 weeks, Sarah collected 14 pounds of cans to recycle, and Sam collected 6 times as much as Sarah. Sam then put his collection into 7 bags to take to the recycling center. And your question it's asking you is, how many pounds of cans did Sam put into each bag? So here, let me pull up this. All right, so here they did 20 weeks, and then I just drew some things to kind of help me organize the information. So the information that it gave me was that, what was her name, the girl? The girl's name was Sarah. So Sarah, I put S for Sarah. She collected 14 pounds, and then Sam collected 6 times as much as Sarah. So I took Sarah's amount, the 14. LBS stands for pounds. So I took the 14, I multiplied it by 6 right here, and that gave us 84. So Sam did 84, and Sarah did 14. Well, then it starts talking about how Sam, he divided them up, or he put them into bags. How much does Sam have? So I went ahead and crossed out Sarah's number, because the only reason I needed Sarah's number was to help me understand that this was that 14 times 6. So I needed Sarah's to help me know what 6 times that amount is. Once I finished that, I was done with Sarah. So we crossed that out. Then, all right, so Sam's got 84 pounds. So then he takes those 84 pounds, and it says he puts them into 7 different bags. And we want to know how much is in each bag. So we did 84 divided by 7, and we got 12. So that's how we knew that in each bag there was 12. So we held up our paper, held up our whiteboard, whatever, and we added that to here. So make sure right here in the yellow little star here, take a picture of your whiteboard or your notebook to show your work. On the bottom here, move me over here. On the bottom, it says a restaurant owner bought 3 boxes of disposable cups for $100, with each box containing 1,404 cups. If he wanted to divvy up the cups among his 6 restaurants, with each restaurant getting the same number of cups, how many cups should each store get? Well, again, let's see. Let's go back over here. My little head is always in the way here. All right, so we've got 3 of these boxes, 1, 2, 3. This is how much all of them cost. This is how many cups is in each one. There was a hidden question there. Before we can start divvying up and saying, okay, this restaurant gets this much and this restaurant gets this much and so on, we went ahead and found the total. So in order to divide all of these things equally, you need the total first. So that was one of the hidden questions in there. So we added all this up. So this was this plus this plus this, which is the same thing as just doing that times 3. So we went ahead, multiplied it by 3, got our answer. Now that answer isn't the answer to the whole thing, it's just the answer to how many total cups he has. Then he has to give them, it says he divvies them up. That means that he is dividing them up between his stores, and he says that each one gets the same amount. So we divided over here, we divided that by the number of stores, and that gave us the number of cups that go into each store. So again, guys, these aren't terribly difficult problems. It's really just, can you break down that information? Can you follow step by step by step and really just break down that problem into pieces? And they're much easier to manage, and just really, you have to make sure you cannot expect to get a problem solved correctly if you don't understand. We talk about this all the time. You can't if you don't understand what the question's about, if you don't understand the story, you're not going to be very successful. So really making sure that you understand the story, breaking it down, and then solving. All right, then after that, right here on page 3, you guys had these two problems. So the problem with Paige, the problem with the donation center. Same thing, you're taking a photo of your work, put your work in this little box here, and then record yourself. How did you solve this problem? What steps did you take? Just like I modeled on these, you're not just going to say, oh, first I divided and I added and blah, blah, blah. We're not doing that. We're going step by step. First, I was given this information. Here's how I represented it. Next, I knew this. So this is what I did next. And then you take it step by step by step and you explain your thinking as you went through. All right. The white pages were the groups that I met with today. And that was it. Don't forget, you've got 10 minutes of Prodigy, 10 minutes of eSpark. I updated Prodigy so it matches with what we're doing with our stuff with class with division. All right, so going back to the agenda. In reading today, we started talking about Tall Tales, and that is also, let me draft this one. That is also in Seesaw here. So go down to reading. All right, so reading. All right, so today we're going to identify characteristics of Tall Tales by comparing two stories about Pecos Bill. So we started talking off all of these little things over here are all scooted over. So we started talking about some of the characteristics that we find in Tall Tales. And so I just kind of put them out here, but everybody was supposed to put things that they already knew up top, things that they weren't as familiar with down below. So Tall Tales, some elements of them we learned that they are helped by like the main character is helped by a powerful animal or object, sometimes both. The tale includes stories that explain how the hero played a role in the creation of a famous place. Usually this is done in like a very outrageous way. So like how the Grand Canyon was created, or how like today we read about Death Valley. So it's explaining like these things that are in real life, how they came to be. The author uses exaggeration and humor. Many things that happen in the story could definitely not happen in real life. You'll for sure see that with our reading that we did today. And then at the end of the story, something happens to the hero. Sometimes they just disappear, they go away, they just kind of stop existing. The stories often start with the hero as a child or a baby. Like the baby is born and he's like 50 pounds or something, and he's born with a hammer. And it's like he's, he or she's super strong. She has all these, like superhuman characteristics. And it starts at, from birth. Next, the hero or heroine is larger than life. They have some kind of great skill. They're super, super strong, wits, all of it. All right, so then after that, we started reading about Pecos Bill. So Pecos Bill, we read this story here. And then these comprehension questions go with this reading. So I really want to practice finding that text evidence. So if you found your answer for this number one in paragraph, whatever, you're going to go and you're going to highlight it blue. The answer to number 2, I want you to go highlight it in yellow. The answer to number 3, I want you to go highlight it in pink. So wherever your evidence is, match it with the colors here. Then you went to Epic. And so this is your first story, and this is your second. So the first one we read together, the second one you need to do in Epic. Then you're going to come over to page 4 and your first title, your second title, and you're going to compare them. So you're going to talk about how are the stories that you read similar, what things do they have in common? That goes in the middle. And then on the outsides, things that they have that are different. Then we talked about these two questions at the end. We talked about why we think that this story falls under the tall tale genre. Things like him riding a tornado. That's definitely not going to happen. Him, doing all these crazy things, being raised by wolves and stuff like that. These are very exaggerated, exaggerated stories. He was a cowboy. Oh, so down here it talks about why was it important for American pioneers to hear stories like them. So you think about you have all these people settling west, settling on the east side, and they're traveling west as they're exploring new lands and things like that. Well, hearing stories about someone that's got a lot of courage and strength and stuff gave them courage and strength to keep, traveling. And those were stories that kind of comforted them as they were traveling through this kind of uncharted territory. So the whole reason why we're comparing these stories and talking about things that they haven't that are the same and that they're different is because these stories, they didn't write them down, they were shared, just talking. And so we compared it to the game where you're playing telephone and someone whispers in someone's ear, and that word gets spread, and by the time they get to the end of the circle and it goes all the way around, it's usually different because when stories get told and passed around, people are adding in their own thing. They may have heard something different. They may have forgot something. So now I got to substitute something in because I forgot. So you get these different variations of these stories. And so we're comparing different ones to see, what kind of things are in common and what kind of things are a little bit different. All right. So that was for reading. And then each day this week we'll have a new person that we're going to read about. All right, so then we met with the groups and all that information's there. In writing today, we talked about quotation marks using dialogue. So if you go to this Monday through Wednesday writing dialogue and open this up, get mine. All right, so this first part is just an introduction. So it's talking about, with speech bubbles, you don't actually use quotation marks. But when we go to start writing, when we start writing them out, like in our papers and things like that, we want to be able to show who is speaking. We use tags. So the boy said tells us that the boy is the one that said that. He says, do you want to go to the skating park, or do you want to go skating at the park? And then the girl said, okay, that sounds totally rad, dude. All right, so giving them those tags and putting those quotation marks gives the reader information about who is saying what. Quotations always begin with a capital letter. So whether it's at the beginning of the sentence or at the end of the sentence or in the middle of the sentence, you need to write those correctly with the capital letter. There are two main parts to a quote. You have the part that's being said and the part that identifies the speaker. So everything that has the quotation marks, those are all what's being said. We said all of these have names, and John, Sarah, John. So all of these have names to identify who is the speaker. Then on this page here, we started putting some together. So here you have your capital letter for the name, Josh said, comma. Open up those quotation marks. So those are hugging what's being spoken. He says, you are nice, at capital at the beginning and period at the end. And you end your quotation marks. So that one was the statement with the period. Here's an example with the question mark and another example with the exclamation mark. So you type them on the bottom there. And then we stopped there. Then in Seesaw, under activities, go to writing. So today we looked at 3 samples of writing. One was this first one. So this prompt is all about writing about your favorite place and what makes explaining what it makes it so special to you. So today I put on here that later on in the week or as we go through the week we'll dig a lot deeper. But we are just reading about just or we're just reading and gave them a kind of a quick score, and almost immediately everybody recognized that this one here was severely lacking details compared to the other ones. So we talked about kind of what that means and just looked at the progression. So starting at a 2 paper and then looking at a 3 versus a 4 score paper, so you can really look at the similar like this first paragraph here and this paragraph here. If you compare them, they're kind of night and day, especially from the 2 to the 4. So just really not giving, I keep saying details, 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 details. There's a reason you get a higher score. And so just really looking at the difference at what it takes to get, those higher level scores, I think is really going to help push us and really challenge us to not just be so, I guess, we don't want to be so basic with our sentences. We really want to give those descriptive, like when he says where the rainbow like sunset comes into sight, like it's like an alarm clock. So talking about that sunset coming in and it being like an alarm clock that wakes you up. That's a simile. He's using the word like to describe and compare things. And so using those that kind of figurative language and things like that are really going to help push our papers to those higher scores and will really help give the reader a much better visual of what you're talking about and just more enjoyable to read than it was fun and I liked it. That's kind of, that's kind of boring. All right, so I wanted everybody to start thinking of a place, and please don't pick your bedroom. Please pick something that is unique and that not everybody's going to pick. Like that one talking about the dock at his grandparents' house at the lake. That was something unique that not every kid is gonna be writing about. You wanna stand out. All right, in science today we headed to Seesaw as well, and it's up here at the top, week 21 science. This first page has some links that you watch the videos. So you're watching about what a shadow is, how it changes throughout the day. And this link right here is a website for the Smithsonian Science Education Center. And you can click on this where it says, oh, you have to click launch this app. And then you click on this to start it. Let me let it load. All right, so you click start. And this is the National Mall here. You can see the monument, the museum. Down here's the Capitol. So they took a photo of the sun 5 different times throughout the day. Let me make this bigger. So you can click and hold and you can drag this around. So you can see where the sun is, and this is winter. And then when you change it, you can see where the sun is, same time and everything, but in spring. And so if you look, the sun appears at the different positions, appears to be changing. But here's position 2, and here it is during winter. So it's a lot lower in the sky. So we made some observations, and we went over here on this page. We took all these little suns and we moved them over, and we said, okay, we dragged the winter. We said, okay, we've got this arc that forms around, and that is winter. And then we've got the same arc that forms around, and that's the springtime. And so we talked about how Earth, where the sun appears, because we're in different positions, the sun is also appearing to be in different positions, depending on whether it's spring or winter, things like that. So we made those observations, and that'll make more sense when you watch those videos. And then we did social studies. And then the very last thing that we did is we went into what's it called? Aware. So go to your Launchpad, go to Aware, and we did the reading assessment, the 2B. So we talked about the first one that we did, and I think everybody realized that these are not overly, super challenging problems. The answers are almost straight from they are all three of them were straight from the text. One of them we had to think about the whole story together, but it was really, I mean, kind of right in your face answers. Not too much digging. They're only, 4 paragraphs. It wasn't too long. So we did a second one and the scores were way, way better. So I think, just taking our time and looking for that evidence, you will be so much more successful. So make sure you get that done if you were not here today. And that was it. All right. Thanks, guys. See you tomorrow.